Hello and welcome to Able Jam TV. Here we give you the best entertainment content like never before. Kindly feel free to subscribe and turn on the notification bell to get all our content.
This is a national emergency. Important instructions will follow. This is not a test. A nuclear missile is headed toward the United States.
It would be the largest invasion since World War II. It would change the world.
After weeks of intense negotiations between the West and Putin over Ukraine, both sides are deadlocked, and the world is increasingly afraid of World War III breaking out, and the risks of it going nuclear. Well, the truth is, you've been lied to by the media about Putin's true modus operandi. In this series, we're going behind enemy lines and pull back Putin's cloak of deception to examine the facts, to get to the real truth. The BS narratives being regurgitated daily by naive Western media make it seem like Putin is merely trying to resurrect the evil Soviet Empire under the rather sentimental pretext of reuniting Big Brother Russia with its little sister Ukraine. Putin is adamant that he has no intention of attacking Ukraine. Rather, he's merely seeking to secure Russia's borders. Well, in reality, that's Putin's wild goose chase hybrid warfare narrative. As Putin's feared arch nemesis Alexei Navalny puts it, the West has again naively bought into his con, hook, line, and sinker. Well, thanks to Navalny, the buck stops here. After watching this video series, your eyes will be wide open. Welcome to the Russia-Ukraine conflict explained. No BS, part 1. Okay, let's get started. Now, you're going to want to watch this video to the very end right now if, 1, you're tired of seeing the watered-down BS Western media narrative that every news video is trying to sell us right now. Rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. And if you want to get the inside scoop from a non-biased Western insider that's been living and running a company in Ukraine for 5 years, then you have come to the right place. If, 2, you're worried about the conflict because either you have a loved one in Ukraine or maybe you're one of the 60,000 plus expats living in Ukraine and you're wondering if it's safe to return home to Ukraine right now. If 3, you have any assets inside the territory of Ukraine, such as bank account deposits or maybe real estate, and if you're wondering if your assets are in jeopardy now, and if so, what can you do about it? How could you mitigate your risks? If 4, you want to know what Ukrainian people really think about this crisis and the general mood in Ukraine right now. 5, if you want to hear the Russian and Ukrainian perspective of this conflict as reported by credible, inside, private, non-media sources, this is key, that are reporting the truth despite the near inevitable prosecution.
Tens of thousands of Russians took to the streets, sparked by the imprisonment of one man, an anger about social injustice, political repression, and staggering corruption at the heart of the Kremlin. Since then, the repression has escalated as Putin seeks to silence all dissent. But the elections were rigged. Putin's United Russia won, retaining a 2/3 majority in parliament, big enough to enable Putin to change the Russian constitution. And it wouldn't be the first time. In 2020, he pushed through amendments that will allow him to remain in office for at least another 16 years. As the 2024 presidential election approaches, Putin has a personal vested interest in ensuring the opposition cannot compete.
Putin is not in the position to leave office anymore. His power, his money, his life are all tied together in that office in the Kremlin. If he were to lose power, the chances of him retiring peacefully are very, very slim. The chances of his cronies retaining their ill-gotten wealth is close to zero. Russia doesn't have an independent legal system. The legal system is one of the belts of political power in Russia. Russia doesn't have the rule of law. It has the law of the ruler.
In the aftermath of the January protests, more than 11,000 people were arrested and 90 criminal cases were launched.
If 6, you want to find out the recent game-changing development that the media seems to be keeping rather hush-hush right now. 7, if war does break out, who is the most likely to pull the trigger first? And how and where will they attack? And this one will surprise you. Now, before we unlock Pandora's box and expose the lies you're being fed, let's address the threat of World War III that we opened with.
It'd be the largest invasion since World War II. It would change the world.
Well, it's almost 40 years since Reagan and Gorbachev ended the Cold War between USA and Russia. Yet it seems we don't learn very easily as the human race, because we're back at it again, amassing nukes at an ever-alarming pace, with the US leading the pack with a shocking $1.2 trillion nuclear weapons budget. And as a result, the risk of nuclear conflict erupting between the United States, Russia, China, and North Korea is become dangerously high.
The risk of war in the OSCE area is now greater than ever before in the last 30 years.
In fact, right now, intelligence shows that Russia is moving more heavy artillery and equipment from Siberia to Ukraine's borders, and moving Russian troops and nukes into Belarus. So the Russian troop count is now a whopping 125,000 strong. All ominous signs a Russian invasion on Ukraine is imminent and coming soon. But the deeper worry, frankly, is that, since America and most of the EU countries are now stepping up to support NATO and Ukraine, everyone is asking, could this escalate to nuclear war? Of course, all we can do is pray for Ukraine, its people, and, pray for all of us right now. Take a look at the sneak peek of a beautiful Ukrainian prayer that's sweeping across Ukraine this week.
Господи, помилуй грішних, змилуйся над нами і прости, молимо тебе, Всевишній.
Isn't that an incredibly beautiful prayer? I'm going to play the full prayer at the end of this video and ask that you hold up Ukraine in prayer right now. Next, let's cut through Putin's well-disguised hybrid warfare cloak of deception to better understand what's he really up to. Let's go back to the basics and take a look at this conflict, holistically from a 30,000-foot type view. Let's examine the who, the what, the where, the why, and the how of it all, shall we? The who. Who are the real players involved in this conflict? The what. What does Putin really want? The where. This seems like an obvious answer, but it might shock you. Then there's, of course, the why. Why? That's the imperative question. Why is Putin really doing this? What's his real MO? And finally, the how. How is Putin planning to get what he wants, like he did before and his predecessors before him? We're going to dive deep into that. Okay, first, the why. Let's uncover Putin's real why. And by uncovering his big lie and looking at what he's up to, this will help us uncover his real MO, which will blow the lid off this whole thing and completely open your eyes. So let's pull back the Iron Curtain and expose how they get away with such big lies in Russia.